100% tariff that the Canadian government put on Chinese EVs earlier this week. It was reported that you had.
President Biden has been clear that he is committed to managing this important relationship responsibly. Our aim in every engagement with China is to deliver for the American people. Under President Biden's leadership, the United States has and will continue to advance its interests and values, look out for its friends. And as we do, we believe that competition with China does not have to lead to conflict or confrontation. The key is responsible management through diplomacy.
Discuss some of this with Xi Jinping himself. Other than diplomatic speak,
So the PRC well understands the longstanding commitment the United States has under its Mutual Defense Treaty to the Philippines, and the Philippines well understands that we have an ironclad commitment to support them in their lawful exercise of their rights, their maritime rights. At the same time, nobody is looking for a crisis, not the Philippines, not the United States, and we hope not the PRC. But I did raise our concerns about some of the destabilizing actions that have taken place, including the ramming of Coast Guard vessels and unsafe intercepts near Scarborough Shoal. It's something we'll continue to discuss with our Chinese counterparts.
Issue of tech restrictions, I know that's something that the U.S. side has remained very firm.
I explained why it is that we feel we have to take some targeted restrictions to ensure that advanced technologies aren't used against U.S. national security. I explained that our approach is one of de-risking, not decoupling, and described in some detail how we saw de-risking in practice. And I also raised our concerns about steps that the PRC has taken with respect to the intersection of economics and national security and the impact that that has had on Western businesses and on supply chains. And so we had a vigorous give and take on the issue.
The Biden administration has announced arms sale to Taiwan 15 times now since taking office.
I can't say that we did make progress on that issue. The PRC has been very public in its view that the war should end through diplomacy. They've laid out various principles, both unilaterally and in separate communication with the Brazilians. We had the opportunity to exchange views on the war against Ukraine over the course of the last 3 days. We didn't reach any particular plan with respect to diplomacy, in large part because the United States very rigorously adheres to the simple maxim of nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine. So ultimately, it will be up to Ukraine to decide how it wants to proceed with diplomacy and negotiations.
Consistency in their relationships. Did they at all?
It is likely that both President Biden and President Xi will be at APEC and the G20 later this year. I don't have any announcements to make on either President Biden's travel or a potential meeting, but the likelihood is they'll both be there, and if they are, it would only be natural for them to have the chance to sit down with one another. So we'll have to await any confirmation or any announcements, but I think things pointing in that direction seem logical and reasonable.
with the maritime issues, I don't have to tell you, obviously things are very tense right now in the South China Sea, especially the Philippines.
The negotiators are bearing down on the details, meaning that we have advanced the discussions to a point where it's in the nitty-gritty. And that is a positive sign of progress. But at the end of the day, nothing is done until it's done. And so we're just going to keep working at this until we finally get the ceasefire and hostage deal across the line.
All of your company staff can speak Chinese. So do you think this helped you to